So the next 3 kits that we have are the Viola Kits. Now the Viola Kits are new to Hello Petal. We've not done them as kits before, but they are just so beautiful and they do so well indoors. You know, and obviously if you want to, you can put them outdoors as well. But yeah, they are beautiful kits. They're this sort of lovely kind of pastel lilac colour with their sort of really dainty heads, and I'm just delighted with them. And I hope you will like them too. We have the mossed Viola kit, we have the mossed Viola planter kit, and then we have the scalloped Viola tablescaping trio kit, which is this little grey one here. I'm going to pot up the mossed Viola kit and talk you through, you know, how to pot them up. It's exactly the same across all 3, and then go through some care tips with you as well. So let's start step by step. So in your kit you will have your gravel, compost, and your 3 different types of moss, and your birch twigs. You'll have your pot or pots and your viola. Now these violas are fresh in, so they have 4 florals already, and then I can see 8 little buds there. So when they arrive, they might be more buddy than, say, for example, this one that I've had for about 4 weeks. So this one is probably, I actually need to deadhead some of these here, and I can show you that actually. But this is, you know, really come into bloom. You can see like it's really grown. So yours will arrive like this and then end up looking with the right temperatures and care, and all the tips I'll give you looking like that. In your planter, you will have 5 of these. In your trio, you will have 3, and in your mossed Viola kit, you'll have 1. And I will show you now how to plant it up. Okay, so let's add in first the gravel. So just pop all the gravel that's in your kit in the bottom of your pot, and then add in, so you do the same in all 3. So you'd put the gravel on the bottom of the planter, and then you're going to add in about an inch of compost just along the bottom, just so that when those roots kind of start growing, they get a nice kind of new nutrient dense compost. Now I'm just going to put the pot there and check that it's the right height. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. Okay, I'm then going to add in, I'm now going to take out, my viola after I've watered it. Easier said than done. Now they are so delicate, so I'm trying to be careful. If you just sort of tease the roots at the bottom of your plastic pot, because sometimes they just get a bit pot bound. Okay, and then I'm just delicately going to put that viola there. I'm then going to use this plastic pot, and it would be the same in the planter. So you'd have 5 of these in total sat on top of your inch of compost. So I'm going to pop that pot in, and I'm then around the pot just going to sort of tuck the compost down the sides. Okay, a little shake. So just popping, and use your hands for this if that's easier, or a little trowel like I've got. I mean, you will make a mess no matter what, but that's part of the fun. Okay, so just down the sides. So what we're doing here is almost sort of creating like a, what should you call it? Like almost like not a template, that's the wrong word. You're creating sort of a hole that's the perfect size for your viola to sit in. Okay, so I probably should have done that, but never mind. I have put in all the compost around the sides of the plant pot like this. Okay, and then simply, once that's all kind of compressed down, you simply gently, if you can, this is going to work, remove your plant pot. And now you've got your nice hole, although some of it has caved in, but I'm just going to scoop that up, and then you simply put your plant in like so, and then gently, very gently around, sort of compress it down, making sure you're not pushing any of the leaves or buds. Okay, so now that is planted perfectly. You can then add in sort of a little sprinkle, if you're being really gentle, around of the new compost, just so that then when you give it a nice water, all those nutrients will filter down to the root. So I'm just really gently, because you don't want to snap anything, popping in a little sprinkle of compost. Okay, and then that's all beautifully planted. Now with the planter, and that would be exactly the same for these, although maybe you'd probably put a little bit less compost in at the bottom, but just see how you go, because if, for example, that sits nicely, yeah, you're probably looking at, put the gravel in, and then, you know, maybe a centimetre, I can't get that out now, a centimetre of compost, and then you pop, actually, realistically, you'd probably put your viola straight in, and then add the compost sort of on top and let it sort of filter down, mainly because you're not going to get any compost around the sides of that. These are probably the perfect size for these pots. So do the technique for the mossed Viola kit, but for this one, put your compost in at the bottom and then put your plant directly out of here and into here, and then put some compost on top. And then for the planter, I will quickly show you what I mean. So you do your gravel and your layer of compost, and then you would just simply take all of your plants out and put them to the side very gently, and then you would put your 5 little pots in your planter. So you do 1 in the middle and then 4 around the edge, and they'll probably squeeze against each other. And then you just fill in the gaps with compost, and then you then compress it down, lift out your pot and slot in your viola. And then you add a little bit of compost if you want to around the top. And then we're moving on to the moss. So in your kit you will have 3 different types of moss. You will have your flat moss, your sphagnum moss, and your bun moss, which is this sort of chunky one. You'll only have a little bit of the chunky one because, as I said with the other kits, it just doesn't sit on the compost on these kits as well. It does better in sort of the summer kits that will come in the summer. Okay, so we're adding in some flat moss first. Now, as you can see, there's not a lot of compost showing. So I'm just gently breaking it into tiny little sections and just gently tucking that underneath on top of the compost. So just lifting those leaves up so gently and just popping it on top. Now pop a bit of sphagnum on. Again, you just have a tiny bit of this because it's purely just to add a different texture. The flat moss is definitely the main moss for these kits. It's the one that works the best, for sure. So then just popping that on top of the compost. And I can see all these little buds here. Okay. And then that's the same for the other kits as well. And now we can add in our birch twigs. So we're being very careful here because we don't want to kill up or sort of snap any flower heads. I mean, if you do, please don't worry. You just deadhead them, and I'll show you how to do it in a sec. And then the other buds will take their place. So don't worry. If there are any snapped heads, you just cut them down, and then new buds will take their place. So please don't worry. So I'm going to cut these quite small, and I simply pop them into the compost, just gently, trying not to sort of damage any leaves or any buds. And it's the same for all of the kits. And then in terms of care for your viola, they like to be somewhere relatively cool and relatively bright. So a windowsill is perfect, or a kitchen island, or a kitchen table, you know, a sunny breakfast table is perfect. Keep the soil damp but not waterlogged. So if there's any excess water in the saucer, make sure that's tipped out. And keep an eye on it, making sure that you're watering under the moss and not, you're not watering the moss and feeling the moss and thinking, oh yeah, that's nice and wet, it's fine. Make sure you're checking the compost, because that's obviously where the sort of the water supply to the roots will come from. So make sure the compost is nice and damp at all times. Don't let it dry out, but don't overwater by waterlogging your plant. When the flowers go over, so they'll go kind of a bit sort of like this one here. So you can see, so these ones here, they're all lovely. This one, and this one probably need deadheading, and that one. So you take your scissors or secateurs and you follow where the floral head is, you follow the stem down and you just simply snip as far down as you can go without causing any damage to any of the leaves or the new buds that are coming through. So that's it, you just deadhead that. So I'll show you this one here. So I'm following it down as far as I can go and just snipping. That will then mean that the plant is not sort of putting the energy into trying to sort of revive these the flowers that are definitely past it. Instead, that energy goes into the buds. So there's, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a tiny one, 6 buds that will then start to bloom up. And then when they go over, you'll deadhead them. And then the other buds that are sort of, you know, really far down, teeny tiny ones, they'll then come up, and that's the cycle. So that's all you need to do. So keep it relatively cool, damp but not waterlogged, a nice bright sunny spot, windowsill, breakfast table, and then just deadhead the flowers when they go over, and that's basically it. So those are your mossed viola kits.